I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first item on the agenda is our friends from Youth First, and we have Allie Langen, correct, and Perry Black. We'll turn it over for you. I think you guys have a short presentation.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight. My name is Perry Black, and I'm the president and CEO of Youth First. And Allie Langdon is our regional development officer, and she is our primary fundraiser in Posey County. We also have several volunteers in Posey County that help us fundraise. And most significantly, we have two Youth First social workers who serve your schools, Alicia Slayton, who serves North Elementary, and Kyla Cares, who serves South Terrace and the junior high. I'd like to begin by sharing just a little bit of history about Youth First, why we exist. We are a nonprofit organization founded right here in Southwest Indiana 21 years ago, when a group of concerned citizens recognized the need to do more about youth substance use and other risky behaviors. Youth First mission is to strengthen youth and families by providing evidence-based programs that prevent substance use, promote healthy behaviors, and maximize student success. We are really seeking to blanket our region with research-proven approaches to prevention, and we've been doing that for many years with the hopes of helping develop healthy mindsets and valuable skill sets that prevent these issues. North Posey was one of our first partners in 2003 when we began embedding social workers in schools to become specialized mentors for kids and prevention coaches for parents and teachers. Over the years, Youth First programs and services have built positive relationships, fostered readiness for healthy changes, and developed resiliency and other valuable life skills. Through those 3 R's of relationships, readiness, and resiliency, young people learn how to manage their stressors and to cope with their challenges. According to the research, these are the keys to delaying and preventing youth substance use and other risky behaviors. Over a decade of data collection and independent evaluations confirm that Youth First approach is decreasing stress and increasing skills in kids so that they're more successful in school and in life. So in a nutshell, we're giving them hope and helping them cope in an increasingly complex world, which I'm sure all of you are quite familiar with. So inside your packet, there is a one-page graphic that basically describes our services during this school year at this point in time. At the superintendent's invitation and with the help of additional funding from the state, we were able to increase from 1 full-time social worker in North Posey to 2 this year. And we now serve 3 schools. We were able to add the junior high along with North and South Terrace. As of this week, Youth First has served 568 students in some way. So over half of the students who had access have had some contact. Starting to the right of your graphic, you'll see that 515 students benefited from educational presentations and 30 students from small group sessions. These educational presentations and small group sessions covered things like bullying prevention, perseverance, respect, and the value of giving back or community service. Alicia also trained all of the faculty at North and South Terrace in trauma-informed care. And together, Alicia and Kyla have collectively provided, in less than a complete school year, 737 teacher consultations. They've made 67 referrals to community services for students and provided 212 parent consultations. Our social workers have also assisted with 6 life-threatening crisis interventions, but by far they spend their greatest amount of time with students on the caseload. 105 young people who need ongoing support to cope with their individual challenges. The top reasons for referring a student to our Youth First social workers in North Posey are anxiety, home life concerns, school behaviors, divorce or grief adjustment, and peer conflict. We are very grateful to Dr. Camp and his team for collaborating with Youth First over the years to assist students. Kudos to North Posey for recognizing the need, for partnering with us, for committing your financial resources, and for expanding the services this year. Next year, the school corporation will contribute just over $65,000 for these services, but please know that is less than 50% of the total cost of providing this. Youth First must raise the rest from private donors or government grants. For many years, we had the support of the Wellborn Baptist Foundation, and we had an infusion of state support this year, but those dollars will go away next year. We must raise about $90,000 a year to maintain services. So far, we've raised about 10% of our goal. So I just wanted you to be aware that this is an urgent need in our mind, and we need to meet and greet and tell our story to as many people as possible in Posey County. We need this community to continue this life-saving and life-changing work. And let me be clear, everything we raise here in this community will stay here in this community to provide the services and programs. Youth First has grown quite a bit in the last year, and it's really our model to make sure that the communities where we are helping support the work where we are. So we're not taking funds that we raise in Posey County to Martin County or vice versa. Our goal is to have each community support the services. And we're continually seeking new sources of funding, but we also know we need everyone's help. And the truth is everyone benefits when we're able to put this extra support around kids and families, improve hopefully graduation rates in the long term, see those young people go on to be productive citizens and good neighbors, and that's our goal. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I wanted to kind of just lay it all out there for you about the important work we're doing and also our financial needs. And also our gratitude, really. We so appreciate what you all have done to make this happen.
No, we appreciate the partnership and the relationship we've had, and I've gotten to meet Allie a little bit on some different occasions, so I know the answer, but if we know people that we think would be instrumental in helping the cause to help raise money or connect us with the right people in the county they need to connect with.
Allie, and Allie's card and contact information are in your folders. And of course, I'd be happy to help as well, and you can contact me. So yes, we're looking for connections, introductions, people who have a heart for this work, who want to make sure that it continues, and so we welcome all referrals.
I really like this too, showing how it's specific to North Posey, the breakdown of where we're, needing items and stuff. And
Yes.
that's very helpful.
Good.
That's a good.
Good. And
direct.
we actually do quite a bit of data collection. So when Posey needs data for grant reports or responding to others, we can help with that. So we can dig even deeper as needed. Obviously, all of our services are confidential, and we protect the confidentiality, and we only provide those one-to-one services to kids whose parents have signed off on it, and that's very important too. We need the parents' permission, but we can provide general numbers like this, so you're aware of how
Just to
things
see
are
how it's
being
being
done.
effective here.
Exactly.
Paragraph just go piggyback on that. The 2 new social workers that we have, their program reports are very detailed.
Right.
They're submitted in a timely fashion, which makes the grant program report go more smoothly, to say the least. And I always use this for the final report, so
Yes.
thank you
I
for
like
your
that.
data collection.
Yes, and when the school year wraps up, we can provide you with the final report for the school year. It won't change too much since we're nearing the end, but They'll change a bit.
Yeah, I think that's good information. And so, Ally, so we've got a board now for Posey County specific that's,
There is a team of volunteers. We've got about 6 or so volunteers specifically focusing on making connections to help me make those introductions, introduce people to Youth First and what we're doing, and then to gauge their interest in supporting us financially for what we're doing here specifically in Posey County.
and that's not a year old, right?
No.
So that's all been done within this last,
Mhm.
that's my thought. So if we know of anybody that'd be interested in helping them, there's building momentum to kind of take care of this for Posey County, so we want to continue to funnel that platform.
Thank you.
So thank you for your efforts and I appreciate it. Thank you. Barry.
I think I'm correct, I'm just doing this off memory, but when we entered into this agreement, we entered into a 3-year commitment. So we're in the first year of that 3-year commitment.
Yes,
That's what I was
yes,
thinking.
yes, and that's right, so we know what we're getting next year. Yeah, we're already in the moving on and just trying to make sure we keep this going for years to come. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as we tell all of our guests, you're more than welcome to stay. It's a very exciting board meeting. But if you do need to leave, feel free to leave at any time. We will not think a thing about it. So the next thing that we have is patron concerns, and we do have a couple of people that have signed up for that. Linda Butler,
Nothing expressed right now.
okay, okay, just,
I understand that.
just clarifying, this is the only part of the meeting that we have patron concerns. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
wasn't here to speak either. I thought I just signed.
just sign in, okay, that's fine. All right, so we'll mark that as such. The next item is our consent items, which includes our minutes and claim docket, as well as other consent items as delivered. We'll entertain a motion to approve those items, which include the minutes from our March 11th meeting, as well as the claim docket and other consent items.
Make a motion that we approve the consent items as listed.
Second. So we have a motion by Mr. Schmidt and seconded by Mrs. Will to approve the consent items as presented. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. New business, Dr. King?
We have Mike from BPS Services to deliver a presentation for us on the preliminary plans, the projects that we're moving forward with at North Posey.
Yes. Mike Davis, I'm an architect with BPS Architecture. George apologizes for not being able to make it. Scheduling conflicts, but we'll quickly run through the various projects that are going to be taking place here. Preliminary plans. The first one is an overall site plan of South Terrace Elementary, which we are showing a new parking lot. And this, whoops, I didn't mean to touch that.
If you touch it, it will make.
Yeah,
it do things.
expanding that parking lot, repaving, getting some new striping, but also adding a portion to the drive so that people can turn around at that location. We will have a fenced-in area, part of the base bid, and then the overall site will be an alternate fencing around the property. Can I forward it? Just touch it,
I
or?
think she can change
Okay.
it.
This was just showing more detail of that drive, turnabout, and the new parking lot and striping. So, okay, North Elementary School. And this is showing an overall plan in relationship, the new secured entrance and reworking the office. We will have a bigger plan in a minute. And then the STEM classrooms in the back that we'll be remodeling. This would be the new secured entrance. And if you can tell by the plans, what they did was they moved all the offices forward. So currently, right now, the hallway is right along here, right along the front of the building. So they moved everything forward so that they could secure the vestibule, get an entrance right into the main office with a workroom, office, little conference room, a toilet, and then the nurse's office with a toilet as well. And then this is just showing the new casework layout for the 2 STEM classrooms in the academic space. This is showing the front of the school building. Currently, right now the drive is not practical and there's a lot of concrete here. And so what they were wanting to do is make this big enough for drop-off pickup. And so what you'll see is reworking the parking slots to be at a 45 and then making this one directional path at the front. So there's no longer two-way traffic. It'll all be one-way traffic going in that direction and parking.
So this will be wide enough that a car can pull in there and back out while
Yes.
another car is kind of like enough room.
Yeah, so,
to be fitting.
yeah, and then also I think stacking the school buses as well.
Oh, in that
need to
same.
be,
it's true.
and then a car could still drive around it if they need to.
I'm saying the
We
buses
won't put
go
the
on
school
the back?
buses in there, but
Okay.
they could go in.
They could go,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, we're,
Big enough.
we're not gonna change the layout of the buses, but it's big enough if we needed to.
So how much concrete comes out that's there now?
Quite a bit. I believe where these parking lot lines are is where the sidewalk is currently, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not as familiar with it as George
So,
would have been, but
yeah, they're cutting back into the bank and taking out the boxes and taking out all the concrete. And they're making the drive-through two cars wide, and then indented will be those parking spaces. And so the concrete will be cut in half. There is a concern about the one box on the left-hand side there of the building
The one
because,
that's currently there now.
yeah, against the building. We might not be able to take it out. We might only be able to shrink it.
Okay.
And if we can take it out, we're gonna take it out. But if it's weaved into the building, we won't take the whole thing out. We'll just shrink it.
right.
And then what?
And then also there's a little wall right there at the end of that wall.
As I say,
Be
so is
taken
that
out.
grass right in there to the right of those
Yeah.
steps? Is that what that's gonna be?
If you go out there now, there's a sidewalk here and then there's a wall like right there for some reason.
Right.
We're eliminating that, so it's, people don't have to walk out in the grass. Something small, but
So would the idea be that parents would pull into those slanted parking spots to pick up kids and then have to back out into the lane of traffic?
No, the general parking for parents to take their kids in is across the street. And if you look, there's a sidewalk going across, there's a crosswalk going across, and we're shrinking that median there, and then they go on in. But and then we'll have teachers out there helping direct traffic like we have now. But if parents need to pull in for any particular reason, they can pull in there. We're not saying that we're wanting to do that at 8 o'clock in the morning.
More so for during the
It's
school
Yeah,
hours.
during the school hours.
For visitors
And
to
keep
the
it
school.
flowing, like you should just pull up,
Right.
open your car door, they get out, you keep moving with a constant flow. You wouldn't want the parking really starting
No,
to drop off.
that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, that would be a cluster.
Yeah. And unsafe, right? Backing out when you keep kids walking
Oh,
through. and-
absolutely.
Yeah, that could be dangerous.
That median now is grass. Will it continue to be grass or is it gonna be concreted?
Not for sure. There's a drain there. We were talking about shrinking it and making it, concrete. But we have to get with the town yet and determine how much, tile is under there. We don't know yet for sure on that piece.
What is the little sidewalk thing coming down the side that looks like this right here?
Yeah,
That's there already.
It's there already.
Oh,
It's an existing exit from the.
okay, that's there already,
So
okay.
the handicap accessibility there someplace too, or how's that work?
Handicap accessibility right now is in the back.
yeah,
It'll probably have to stay back there because you have
That
such an
elevation.
Right.
incline.
The flagpole stays, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it too steep to put a ramp in the front?
It would take a lot of room because the incline is regulated by federal regulations
Yeah.
and it would take up the whole area to get it up there.
yeah, I think you're basically either taking up all that area or you're taking it all the way. taking up all that front with concrete.
So are we okay? I guess with what we have now, but because we're going into a construction, we're still fine, okay.
We are ADA accessible. Okay, next slide.
And this was South Terrace Elementary, showing the STEM classroom, just showing casework, storage, kind of a layout.
We had a meeting with South Terrace this morning, and the casework basically over on the left-hand side, there's a sink there. All of that is staying, and we're replacing the cabinetry and all the things with the sink. Across the top, with what is the outside wall is open shelving, casework to go along with the HVAC unit in the windows. And the Sling studio that's sitting there, right, they elbowed it today. It's not going to be straight at South Terrace. It's straight at North Elementary, but in the changes today, we elbowed it so they could have one screen on one wall and one screen on another wall. So there would be no fear of overlap for a little bit of space issue. And they wanted to create more space out in the classroom. And then the lower section of casing is it's white casing that they can use it as a white marker board. The doors, you can write right on it and erase it off, and it's got a countertop, and the two end cabinets are going to be full big cabinets. The only reason I know that is I was in the meeting this morning.
It's good. The next is going to the high school, middle school, high school. And these are kind of small. We do have blow-ups of each, but essentially going through the project Lead the Way. I think we're renovating that classroom, renovating the art room, creating a new secured entrance at the middle school, and then coming over to the high school, renovating the locker rooms in the gymnasium area. And this is the locker rooms. And so I believe one of the things here was also correcting some Title IX issues. So we'd have a boys and girls PE locker rooms, a girls varsity room, a boys varsity locker room, then a visitors locker room, and then also taking this kind of unused space where it was a gang shower and turning that into an officials kind of locker room changing area that they could utilize.
In 5 and 6, the correct vote right now, both of those are boys' locker rooms.
Yes.
And so what's happening is one's going to be a boys and one's going to be a girls, and that will correct our Title IX issues.
And so they'll basically both match.
And we're gonna have hot water controls at the officials' room, so if they do a good job, they get hot water.
Yeah, if not, they get cold water. Yeah.
And then from these two, will you be able to get into the gym? It looks like no, but.
The PE locker room?
Yeah.
You can go to the coach's office today, but.
I knew today you could, but it doesn't look like here you can anymore. Okay. So I assume that's when we still hold PE classes, right?
Yeah.
Or do we hold them into the?
We hold them in
auxiliary
both
gym?
places.
Hold them in both.
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled about that, but okay.
You wouldn't want the students going through that coach's office.
Oh, no, I would agree, you would not, but today our PE classes are over here, right?
Where they're in both gyms.
Both gyms.
So the auxiliary gym is right across the hall from where.
Actually,
Right here, right?
Actually, a lot of our PE classes are in the auxiliary gym.
And it's closer to the weight room, so.
Okay.
It's probably a better entrance.
Next is the track resurfacing and the new field turf. And also then the multi-purpose area, and we do have a floor plan of that to go along to the track resurfacing and the field turf are out for bid currently. And then we'll also have reworking the bleachers, which will come up with larger plans in a minute to show those as well. So on the bleachers, I believe it's taking off all the wood, replacing it with aluminum, and then repainting everything. I don't know if there was anything else. That's what George told me. So I believe that's all that was involved there. And then the next one is the baseball bleachers, new aluminum bleachers for the baseball field.
And that of course also the gas and the.
That's 400 seats, and taking out all the bleachers that we have there now and putting them on.
How
And
many
it-
does it currently seat?
It's not 400. I couldn't give
And
you
the
the number.
ones right behind the main ones right behind the home plate, there's pretty good gaps.
That's what I was wondering what you meant by gaps.
Yeah, the floor.
And the floor,
They're the old style bleachers,
Yeah.
so they
Where
got.
kids can fall through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're
And they're-
high seats,
they're
so it's.
There
it's
is an
difficult to
alternate
climb.
bid for this. There is an alternate bid for this that is a higher cost bid, but it is just an alternate. That's the base bid.
We're not adding any handrails on the football bleachers.
Down the middle,
Yeah.
yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I'll have to look what note 4 is on there. I don't
So I
have
saw the
the
four.
notes with me, so I'm wondering if note 4 is adding handrails. I have to see. I don't.
Right now, what the current bleachers are, they're wood and they're capped with the aluminum.
Yeah.
And those stairs are free floating. Every other stair is free floating. And when you hit it, it moves
Oh, yeah.
and you think you're falling and they're going through, but that's the way that was designed. And what they're going to do is fix those, when they strip it down, they're gonna fix it so it's not free floating, so they'll be more solid. So that give's not gonna be there.
I still think handrails.
And then,
Yeah,
I
could we
think
look at an
handrails.
alternative to add handrails to that bid?
Still handicap accessibility. Where's it at? On the end zones, where we at?
Yeah.
Where our, you know,
That's what I-
So we're not adding any seats to the football stadium, but we are adding to the baseball stadium.
Yeah, and if you go with the baseball, obviously they have it.
that's kind of our configuration now, but we got movable bleachers on the sides and they don't fit in.
And older, movable bleachers.
Yeah. They're used at the football field and the soccer field as well. They're not real big and, I mean, they're only like 6 or 7 rows high.
And so the last piece is the multi-purpose building. The shell of the building, and I believe the turf is all base bid, which would be the whole building. Meaning these 2 areas on the end would be left shelled out as part of the base bid, and then those 2 areas are alternates. And so everything would be ready to come back and put it at a future time if money doesn't allow for it this time.
I know you said the bids went out for the football field.
For the field track and the turf, yeah.
When are we expecting the rest of the bids to go? Do you know?
The bid date,
Yeah,
the 24th, I think is the date.
Like they'll go out on the 24th?
No, they're out.
Oh,
no,
they
no,
are?
the
She
rest,
said
the rest of the project.
Oh, the rest of the project will be very soon. The way that we're going to put it out, there were 9 bid packages because of the variety of the work. One of the things, we're looking at re-asphalting all the asphalt at South Terrace and the playground at South Terrace, which haven't been totally drawn yet. They'll be the last things to do, and we'll draw those and go through those. But what we want to do is we bid out the field and the track. That has to be done, and then everything else at the high school is going to be bid at the same time.
Okay.
North Elementary and the STEM room at South Terrace will be bid at the same time, and then they'll go out and bid. And we're doing the fence outside of all of that. What he's doing with the fence, he's quoting that. He's not going to run that through a contractor so we can save money. And then then we're gonna come back and bid the playground.
So how, like, in my mind, again, this might not be interesting, but in my mind, at some point, I'm gonna have all these choices. And then we're gonna vote on which ones we do, but I can't do that until I have all of them. So when will we have all of them?
The base bids
Mhm.
are go. The alternates are what we'll be making decisions on.
So I can't. Sorry, that confused me. So you're saying I have already voted to base bid to do a turf field?
It's a base bid, yes. Now, the bid can come in
Mhm.
and we can say no.
Okay.
We are bid, I mean, those are out for bid.
Yeah, we can say, no, that's too
So if
much
it
money.
comes back, it's too much money,
We can say,
and I
no.
want, and all the other projects still are, like, cause then they could still be too much money, right? Like, we only got this much, so I
Right.
figured I'm gonna prioritize how I'm gonna spend that money.
Mhm.
Okay, so then we could say no. Okay.
So when is that?
But
When
they're,
will that
they're,
happen?
they're all coming in at separate times. They won't all be, you won't have it all sitting out here in like a big pie and you can say, I wanna do this, I wanna do this, I wanna do that. It's coming in separately. We're gonna have to do it
So
separately.
how will we ever prioritize? Like, which,
Well, we kind of prioritized when we created the list. But you can say no at any one thing. When the 24th,
Mhm.
when the bids come in, we can hold a meeting and you can decide whether to move forward on it or not.
On North Elementary, is that the existing safe that comes out into the hall?
Yes.
Yes. And the
Yeah.
existing safe is gonna become, see, we are, well, yes, we are tied to North Elementary. If North Elementary goes down, the central office goes down. So all of our networking stuff is sitting in North Elementary's server room. And that is gonna become the server room and the student store.
Okay. So it's not gonna have the safe door on it
No.
anymore? or-
Yeah.
okay.
What are we gonna do with that door?
Discussion about that, how heavy it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Any more questions on the?
All right.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And I will take my opportunity to head home. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so next item is we have a lease agreement with the Multi-School Building Corporation. Bill, would you help us out on that?
Certainly. First of all, you'll have before you a copy of the lease agreement. And, first of all, let's talk about why we even have a building corporation and why we have a lease agreement. State law limits the amount that any political subdivision can borrow against its assessed valuation. And it's basically 1% of your assessed valuation. Todd, is in our district's assessed valuation approximately 360 million?
Our assessed valuation is 484 million.
All right, 484. So 1% of that, of course, would be 4.8 million. And that is something that can be used for building projects, but they call that a general obligation bond. It can also be used for other things besides building projects. And it's something that can be done, at any time. And currently, to my knowledge, we have no general obligation bond.
No.
Zero. So we have, the capacity, legal capacity to borrow, the full amount of 1% of our assessed valuation. But it's standard practice not to do that in a building project, because with building projects, there's an alternate source of financing. It's called lease finance. And that's what state law has allowed school districts and other government entities throughout the state to borrow, and it does not count against the 1% general obligation amount. And of course, as we just talked about, our 1% would be 4 point million, something that wouldn't be good, but in today's world, that's not much ability. So many years ago, the state has allowed school corporations to enter into these lease purchase agreements. And what's formed is a building corporation. And the building corporation will be the entity that essentially issues the bonds and holds title to some real estate, some portion of the real estate at least, where the project was built, where the construction is taking place. And the building corporation then leases that building back to the school. And the school makes lease payments. The building corporation then takes those lease payments and pays the principal and interest on the bond. I know that's a lot to absorb, and you say, why go through all this? Well, because state law prohibits the amount that can be borrowed without this process to 1% of your assessed valuation. And, you know, I don't want to bore you with history. And first of all, I would be the first to admit my knowledge of history is not expertise, but I've been told through the years is that this was done because this is state law. It's been this way for a long time because when the state of Indiana built the Wabash-Erie Canal back in whatever that, I thought it was the 1800s, but it nearly went bankrupt. The state of Indiana nearly went bankrupt. So this was a law that was enacted in response to that. But of course, as time passed, it would require a constitutional amendment to change. In fact, it's part of Indiana's constitution. So it would require a constitutional amendment to change that, as I understand it. And so this lease purchase, basically this is a lease purchase. So looking at the very first page of your lease agreement, and by the way, I want to emphasize the building corporation met this morning and didn't sign this. What's going on today is to approve the form of the lease agreement. And that's what you're doing here now, is approving the form of the lease agreement. So.
And we've done this when we did the 2002 project for the HVAC. We did it when we refinanced some bond issues, and we did it when we did the gyms.
I remembered it from then. I just couldn't remember exactly all the details along with why we do it.
Sure. We have done this 4 or 5 times throughout.
And I'll try not to be, I want to be, I'll go on and on. I just want to try to hit the point. I want to emphasize this in your lease agreement that's before you is not a particularly unique lease agreement. It's done throughout the state. And this is prepared, but I didn't write this lease agreement. It's prepared by Ice Miller. There are bond counsel out of Indianapolis. And what's revised is the numbers in the lease. We'll get to that on page 2, I believe, or 3 in a minute. And so this, what's being asked tonight is to approve the form of the lease agreement. And again, the form is not particularly unique, except that the numbers were changed to reflect the amount of the bonds and anticipated interest rates. So the final lease agreement will be something different than this. The numbers will be adjusted. And the numbers will be adjusted because they'll know the exact lease payments that are required based on the interest rates of the bonds. And we want interest rates to be low because the less interest that you pay, the more that you can borrow. And of course, the more that you borrow, the more you can build. So on the first page, this is a lease agreement. It should say with option to purchase. I'll point that out to you later on. And so the MSD of North Posey Multi-School Building Corporation is the lessor. It's going to own a portion of the real estate where the improvements will take place. And I was going to call it the school, Metropolitan School District, North Posey County. The school is the lessee. So the school's gonna lease from the building corporation. And you can see that it's gonna be a portion there in paragraph 1. And they're talking about premises, term, and warranty. It is going to be, legal description is yet to be determined. Survey may be required, but it's going to be, tract 1 is the multi-purpose facility. And tract 2 is part of the portion of North Holy Junior High School. I think I said that backwards. Excuse me, I said that backwards. Track 1 is a portion of North Holy Junior Senior High School. And track 2 should be an alternate multi-purpose facility. So for example, this lease could be modified if you decide that if it turns out there's not enough money to do the multi-purpose facility, then that portion would be excluded from the lease and signed. So track 1 is a portion of the North Holy Junior Senior High School. And track 2 is the multi-purpose facility. Because you got to remember, a lot of our work's being done on the existing school buildings.
Right.
And then at the bottom of the same page, I think this is important to understand. The lease is for the period for a term of 22 years. And this is not a coincidence because these bonds are the longest period of bond will be 20 years. So when these bonds are sold, they'll be bid upon by various financial institutions. And the people that, require the lowest interest rate, they'll be awarded the bid. So we're bidding to have the lowest interest rate. And when you say, well, then they bought the bonds. Well, the bonds will be over a period of 20 years. So let's say there's principal and interest payments, the first year of principal payment, that'll say start year 1. And you keep doing that every year, then until you get to year 20. The reason you have 22 years in your lease is because the first year or so there's just an interest payment, there's no principal payment. So that's why we go up to 22 years on the lease, because you've got 20-year periods of bonds, but you've got year to 16 months, year to 18 months for the interest payments only. Now I'm turning the page. These page numbers aren't numbered. Again, I didn't compare this. I apologize. There's no page numbers here, but there's really nothing of a remarkable comment until on the next page. I'm going to go to the chart where it says paragraph 2 at the top, rental payments. And you can see right there where it talks about the amount of $543,000 as a rent payment until completion of construction. Well, see, that shows your interest only. And then thereafter, the rental payment is kicked up to the $1,086,000 per year. Now, what happens here is that there's variance, and just to put a simple mathematical equation, you have assessed value times your rate gives you your total dollars. So what kind of do is they're kind of backing into this is that your total dollars here, they figure out $1,086,000 of rent per year. Well, how many dollars of construction will that give us? Well, that depends on your interest. So the lower interest gives you more principal. That's just what this is based on.
Those numbers will be filled in and finalized
Oh, yes.
after the sale of the bond.
Oh, yeah, and you won't know that until the bonds are sold because interest rates change daily.
Right.
And a little tick in an interest rate makes a big difference for a large amount of money over 20 years. Sure. At the bottom of the page, I do want to read this to you because I think this is a particularly important part of this document. All rentals payable under the terms of this lease shall be paid by the school. The school is the lessee. Paid by the school to the bank selected as trustee under the trust indenture between the trustee and the lessor, which is the building corporation, or to such other bank or trust company as may from time to time succeed such bank as trustee under the indenture. So what your trust indenture is basically a mortgage. The building corporation will sign a trust indenture as with the trustee. And, the school is selling these bonds to, a large financial player, which will buy all of them. Now that bank or that buyer will sell them to various people. And if people of local residents want to buy some bonds, they can, but it'll be through that financial buyer, the bond buyer. And you have to go through a broker in order to do that. There's no way an individual can bid on that directly. And the building corporation does not handle any money. I just read that paragraph. All rental payments, all rentals payable under the terms of this lease should be paid by the school to the bank selected as trustee. And it would be some bank out of Indianapolis or New York. It's traditionally been Bank in New York. I think
Yes,
it's called.
Bank of New York.
They have an office in India, I believe, and they've been doing it, been serving as a trustee in previous law. Not to bore you with history, I wasn't involved, I was born in 55, but in 57, the original North Georgia School Building Corporation was formed. And back in those days, looking through some of the historical documents, that the Farmers Bank and Trust served as the original trustee, which now, of course, has emerged into Citizens and now Fifth Third Bank. But, these bonds are now more represented. Well, national scale, actually. I mean, it's national bidders. So you have to have financial institutions involved that have the ability to represent, have national connection. So these literally are bid on a national scale. Let's see, paragraph, looking, turning to the next page, paragraph 3 allows for additional rental payments. I don't know that we would ever do that. I don't know why we would, but just the option is there. Going to page 4, excuse me, abatement of rent. That would be the rent would be reduced if there was, fire damage or whatever. There would be allowed for abatement of rent until repairs could be made. Number 5, maintenance and operation. Maintenance, alterations, and repairs. The lessee assumes all responsibility for the maintenance, repairs, and alterations to the lease premise. That's the school. Now, you view this as the school bill. This is the school's property. The school's going to ultimately own this at the end of the lease. So the school's responsible for maintaining it. And number 6, insurance. So on the next page, paragraph 6, insurance, same thing. The school's required to insure the property. Well, eminent domain is, that's not likely to happen in this case. Some government would take it for non-school purpose to eminent domain, so I don't think anybody's going to put this highway through it or and then I want to go to paragraph 9 and 10. And this is an option to renew the lease. If that would be if we wanted to extend the lease or we wanted to issue some more bonds, if that's possible. But the big one is paragraph 10. This is probably the most important paragraph in the lease, is the option to purchase. See, the building corporation is going to actually hold legal title to the property. It will hold legal title to a portion, not the whole school, just a portion of the property. Because there's been other bond issues and there's school been chopped up to allow for that, with different bond issues. Point is that when the lease payments are made, the building corporation will convey by a warranty deed the portion of the school that it has been holding back to the MSD of North Georgia. So that's what paragraph 10 is about. Yeah, that's been, rest of it is very much boilerplate. So that's it.
You jumped through there too quick for me to see if there was any prepayment penalties.
They don't do that.
It's lease.
Back to 9.
Well, this, well, there's, again, this is the lease. This has nothing to do, doesn't address anything about prepayment.
So really, this is just your mechanism to pay back what has already been voted on in previous meetings. This is the legal way to pay back.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the way we make our, and essentially this is the way we make our loan payments. It's the vehicle that it has.
Yeah, instead of having a mortgage, it's like, if you want to think of it this way, this is the best analogy I can give. It may not be a perfect analogy, but when an individual goes to the bank, they sign a note. And the bank holds a mortgage. You own your home, but if you borrow money to buy it, the bank holds it makes you sign a note, and to secure the note, the bank has a mortgage on your home. Well, what the building corporation does is it's the one that actually builds the improvements we're talking about. It gets its funds through selling bonds. It is the mortgage is the trust indenture that the trustee and the building corporation enter into. But you say, well, how in the world does this building corporation do all this? It couldn't do anything. It can't do anything unless approved by this board. And this is the lease agreement that if the board enters into it and approves it first, I say the board, not even the school, and as being our public, you would be obligating, the school would be obligating itself to make these lease payments. And there's the form of revenue to the building corporation to issue the bonds. Well, the bonds, to issue the bonds and move forward. That there's no one that's going to buy these bonds without promise some security that the school is going to honor the lease agreement.
And it's just a template that all the money dollar amounts can be guided into later. That's
Correct.
what we're proving, that we're gonna use kind of this.
Yeah,
You're calling the
there's-
form, I'm referring to the
The
template.
form of the lease.
Okay, that's all you're proving tonight. I believe it's in the minutes, isn't it? The form of lease?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing here? The form of lease? And also, I will say this, state law, and you know, I am correct on this, that, you know, as attorneys, you kind of have to, I try not to say things that I'm not real sure of. So I'm really sure of this. You know, this is, you know, when a board makes a decision and there's into this, of course you do this seriously and solemnly. It's not something you take lightly. And once you do it, it's a binding obligation. And if some subsequent board would come along and say, you know, we really don't like this. You know, we don't like this at all. You know, this is just, we don't want to make any more payments. We got this building sitting out here, but we don't want to make any more payments. Well, state law is such that some of our revenue comes from the state, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
There are statutes on the books that says that if the school defaults on its loan payment, or lease payments, under the type of document you're signing here, not tonight, you're approving it, not signing it. But those funds can be intercepted by the trustee in order to make the principal and interest payments to the bondholders. That's why, that's the real power, you know, that when you buy $7+ million of bonds, you want to be kind of sure you're going to get paid back. So that's the power that the bond buyers have, is that they can be assured that as long as North Pole District has a good assessed evaluation and people pay their taxes, that they can, you know, be assured there's legal ways that they're going to be that the lease payments will be made and their bond, principal, and interest payments will be honored.
And it's in the form of our debt service. And we have education, operation, debt service. Debt service is the only tax and the only fund that, you know, when you have the caps and you have all the other things that happen and they'll cut your budget, they will not cut your debt service because they know that that money goes to lease payments. And you're capped in your debt service on how much balance you can carry because they just want to be able to make the payments. They don't want you to, you know, carry millions of dollars in there. So that debt service fund's capped to the lease payments amount.
And common sense tells you that, you know, just what Todd said to be true. Just say someone was Zerk, you know, their clerk, whoever writes the checks to the, which I assume our clerk treasurer writes the check. It wouldn't be very long because, you know, when they miss the interest payment and principal payments, it wouldn't be very long before it was brought to someone's attention. So what I'm saying is there would be some alarm sounding immediately. And I'm just using that as an example. Carol takes her position very seriously. That's why your clerk treasurer has to be a qualified person and puts money in the correct funds and uses money to pay correct things out of those funds. That's why debt service is for principal and interest.
So we need.
That's a little longer, I guess. But I hope it was worthwhile. I hope that it gives some better understanding of moving forward about what goes on.
Absolutely. So we need to approve the form of the lease agreement that has been approved by the Multi-School Building Corporation earlier and submitted to us. That's just explained by Mr. Bender. So I'll stress we are approving the form, not the numbers and contents of the form.
I'll make a motion to approve the form, the lease form.
Second.
I'll second that.
So a motion by Mrs. Will and seconded by Mr. Stock to approve the form of the lease from the Multi-School Corporation, Multi-School Building Corporation submitted to us. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. So now we have to approve or reapprove the resolution for the building commission, is that correct? Or building corporation?
Yes, do you have it before you, a copy of it, or is it in your packet?
Yeah.
I don't have it. I'm just saying, yes, that's what's next. What you're doing is building corporation. This is the, excuse me. The, excuse me, the MSD of North Posey Multi-School Building Corporation was, you have the resolution in front of you? I don't have it.
It was in our packet.
It was
It was in your packet.
It was in your packet, you're familiar with it. Well, this has been formed some time ago that, you know, you used this for previous, I say the board, past boards used this very same building corporation for bond issues in the past. And what our bond counsel is asking that the board just simply reapprove this resolution if you're going to use the same building corporation.
So we'll entertain a motion to reapprove the resolution for the building corporation.
Make a motion that we reapprove the resolution for the building corporation.
Second.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Schmidt and seconded by Mr. Stock to reapprove the resolution for the building corporation. Any other comments or questions right now? And that, the building corporation, that How many people are meeting?
There's 3 members. We just met this morning, in fact, is Joseph Weisfeld is president. Joseph Knighting is vice president. And Robert Bender is secretary treasurer. I want to emphasize that I told them this morning. Cheryl, you were there, you can verify this, can't you? That they can't do anything on their own, that their basic purpose is to serve the school and a lease financing for building projects. They can't decide what to build or not to build, what to spend or not to spend. The only thing they can do is follow your express approval to move forward. And they serve with no compensation. So they're serving as public service to the school district because they're following the wishes of the board, directions of the board. So they receive no compensation and they handle no funds.
Good.
Sounds like a good job. Everybody will sign up for, right?
Shouldn't they gonna show that line is long? Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Dr. Camp?
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to go ahead and have Jeff, you and Amy sign those resolutions so that we have that done. We'll get those sent to Ice Miller. And they'll sign that. Lisa, there it looks.
Well, there's-
Yeah.
this first one.
Next, just a notification, the board that we advertise the notice of hearing of release and additional appropriations in the April 9th. I mean, we will be advertising the notice of the hearing lease in the April 9th and 10th, April 9th in Posey County and April 10th in the Democrat. We will also post the notice on the district webpage, and the hearing shall be conducted on May 13th at 6:30 p.m. in the board office, and no action is required at this time. I got those back. Amy, you had signed those earlier, so. To Amy,
I just signed them in.
well, no, the things I just informed you.
The ones we did, yes.
I'm asking the board to give me the authority to make decisions on the projects as the construction unfolds, keep the projects moving efficiently. This authority will be given to me instead of hiring a clerk of the works, which will save the corporation money. I have acted in this manner and all the projects since 2003. And we haven't had to pay a clerk of the works for all of that time. And so any major decisions, I'll be communicating with the board in a timely manner. And basically, if anything comes up as they're doing the projects, if they find something that, they weren't aware of, or something that happened that, they didn't know about or something, and we have to change something, I'll communicate all of that to you. But instead of, having a hearing, posting a board meeting and waiting 48 hours and then having a meeting and discussing it, you're giving me the authority to keep the projects moving in a timely manner. And with that authority, I will be giving you updates on all of that and talking with you personally if I have to make any major changes.
All right, so we'll entertain a motion to grant Dr. Camp the authority to make the decisions on the projects during the construction progress as he mentioned and presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve Dr. Camp the authority to make decisions during projects.
Second,
I'll second.
so the motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mrs. Will to approve, Dr. Camp, the authority of, monitoring the construction program process, in lieu of a clerk of the works. As he presented, any other comments or questions?
If we had to hire this out, it would be a pretty significant sum.
Yeah, I mean, different people will do it for different amounts, but the actual general going rate is about 5% of the cost of the project.
I mean, we're already paying the superintendent, this would be fiscally responsible, and we should be able to trust them to make these decisions.
And you know, to piggyback on that, I mean, we've done that
We've done
already
it
before. It's not like he's not been around a construction project. We did it with the gyms,
Right.
HVAC and all other projects. So, I think it's financially prudent on our end. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0.
I'm asking the board again to hold summer school Category 1 classes at the locations, and this will allow us to go ahead and post and see what classes we can offer. We're offering everything that we've offered in the past with band, SAE, English, math, algebra, reading in the elementaries, and so we're offering everything that we've always offered for a class to make. It has to be 15-1. Now, that doesn't mean if we have 15-1 in this class, but we have 30-1 in this other class, we can hold another class. It's not 15-1 per class. If we have 45 students enrolled, we can offer 3 classes. So it doesn't have to be tied to, we can shift kids around.
We just have a minimum amount of students we have to have.
Yes. So I'm asking for permission to hold Category 1 summer school classes again this summer.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the summer school classes at all locations as described.
Second,
I'll second it.
any motion by Mr. Oakley and seconded by Mr. Schmidt to approve the request to hold the Category 1 summer school classes at all locations as presented by Dr. Camp. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
I'm going to ask the board to approve the professional leave request is listed and shown up on the board. Keith Hallington, Rusty Seymour, Coaches Clinic, Rebecca Coleman, to the I Am Moving Conference, Matthew Cox, Cody Mall, to the Spring Wrestling Clinic, Heather Brando and Christina Griffin to launch teacher training in July. So this training originally was, and this for Heather and Christina was the only place in Missouri, but they opened it up in Indianapolis. So we shifted it to Indianapolis, and that's for both of them. And it's being paid out of the Project Lead the Way grant, not our education fund.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve professional leave.
Second,
I'll second.
we have a motion by Mr. Oakley or Mr. Stock and seconded by Mr. Oakley to approve the professional leave request as presented by Dr. Camp. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I have a couple of reports that I need to give to you. Number one, it was stated in the 1028 hearing that we should be asking for donations for some of these projects. At the time, I couldn't really say anything about that, but we have verbal commitments of 2 $25,000 donations for the athletic facilities and 1 verbal donation for $3,000 for the athletic portion of that. And we have a verbal donation for our STEM labs for $45,000. As you know, we're putting in several STEM labs. And so we have a verbal donation of $45,000 for that. And so I just wanted to let the board know that we were and are seeking donations. We're working on a couple more companies that have told us that they would give us some money, but we don't have the verbal commitment at this point. So we have secured about $98,000 on donations at this point, and expect that to go over 100,000.
That's awesome.
In the operations 2019 summer projects, I laid that on your list. The new mower was for the high school and the Gator for the bus garage. You know, they're maintaining the facility, the facility down here, the soccer field. And so they're fertilizing, they're seeding, and they're doing all that. So that is for that. Also, it can be used at the high school or any other location. On your handout, I did not have the price for that. We had estimated $15,000 for those two pieces of equipment with the trades. We paid $14,900. In Jake's room, we have 4 new servers. I had estimated $75,000. It was $78,091. We estimated for new switches. I estimated $65,000, and it's $22,900. And the reason for the difference I'll explain in a second. Miscellaneous equipment. I estimated $60,000. We have spent $31,000. We will spend all $60,000, and that's mainly for that machine there that we've been putting into the schools. Also, we have a request for a mobile cart lab and the VR goggles. You know, you had the cardboard ones.
Yeah.
We've had a request for those, so I'll either buy more of those or these items. So we will spend that whole $60,000. And then what I'm really happy about is the installation of the cameras and the matching grant that we had. Vince's committee worked hard on that. We are replacing every camera we have in the district. I think we have like 67 cameras, give or take 1 or 2. We're adding 55 cameras to the district at the request. And I had estimated that we would have $130,000 for that. That's come in. And originally, Jake said he would pull all the wire and do all that work. And I just didn't really want to tie him up all summer pulling wire in every building. And so we went ahead, and since the reason we got the discount on the switches and we got a discount on the cameras because we added so many, they gave us a huge discount. So that's $135,000, and some of that being paid for by grant money. So really happy about that. And Jake's not tied up doing that all summer. He has selected to go ahead and mount the cameras because he said if they do it all, he's still got to go back and adjust the camera pitch. So he said he might as well spend an extra 10 minutes mounting them. So we've got that. And then generally every year, just miscellaneous things for the maintenance people and custodial cleaning. I've got $100,000 set aside for that. And then we have a few other things that we haven't completed yet. The next thing that I'm going to be tackling on my list is carpeting. We have some bad carpeting, so we're going to look at some carpeting. But pretty much that's the summer project list from our operations funds. And next regular school board meeting is May 13th. 5:30 is executive session. And as I told you tonight, as we talked about personnel, we will be approving the personnel request next month. And the regular meeting will be at 6:30.
I am scheduled to be out of town on May 13th for work, so it could change, but it's possibility.
So,
Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
In a second. Motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mr. Stock. We are adjourned. We have a thank you card, right? Give everybody sign. No, not all by sign. Signature on this.